the storage modes which is offered by MDG. So MDG gives us flex and reuse storage modes to handle sensitive and sensitive time-dependent data and regular data. And we'll also see how this storage mode will work in terms of replication and in terms of the availability of the master data within MDG generated tables versus reusing existing ECC tables. So before that, I just quickly run through with what we discussed so far. We discussed what is an ECC system initially. Let's take this as a greenfield implementation. Generally, if some customer is upgrading himself from Oracle to SAP system, or let's say this is a brownfield implementation, customer who is already available on ECC, but he would like to upgrade himself into S4HANA. The scenarios can be anything, but the process would remain same here. So ECC system will have the basis data, which is meant for the system supporting user details, authorizations, profilings, RAM, work process, etc. And organization data is being set up by a functional team to set up the company codes, sales areas, plans related to org structure. And the master data will be set up by the master data management team. Once org data is available, the master data would be created based on reference of organization data. And once the master data has been set up, then the transactions would be posted towards the master data. So there is a dependencies on the data between transaction to master to organization to basis data. And this is what a ECC system would be considered of. Now if we park this discussion aside, customer would like to go for MDG to govern the master data. Then he'll purchase the MDG software from SAP. Then he'll get the staging area with an MDG software, which includes inactive area and an active area. Inactive area is responsible to hold a request in fly or in approval process. Active area is responsible to store approved request. That means, just for an example, if someone is raising a leave request, till it's get approved or rejected, it will be available in inactive area. After it is approved, then it will be available in active area. Now, this would be an MDG software. Apart from that, MDG will not get any other things like, MDG does not have its own master data tables, own SPRO, nothing like that. The software would consist of certain inactive and active area and some of the customizing tables related to MDG configuration. So to work MDG does not understand how many plans are there, how many company codes are there, what is the setup of the org structure, how many user IDs are there. It doesn't understand all this stuff. So it has to sit on the ECC system to understand. So when we say MDG system, that is nothing but an MDG software which is installed on ECC system. That is considered as an MDG system. Once it is installed, MDG will read all the data from ECC system. Example user IDs, example plans, example company codes, currency codes, exchange rate types, etc. And MDG also reads the existing master data from ECC system and do governance in MDG, level 1 approval, level 2 approval, level 3 approval. The data will get enriched, 10% enriched, 40% enriched, 80% enriched, and finally replicate the data back to ECC system. So if MDG software is installed on operational ECC, then it's called as co-deployment model. There is a difference in between an ECC system and operational ECC system. When we are saying an operational ECC system, it has the transaction data as well. If MDG is installed on a system where there are some transactions, then that means it's a co-deployed. Now, instead of installing MDG on an operational ECC system, I created a new instance of an operational ECC, and on top of that, I installed MDG. So here I am saying it can be a new instance of ECC or it can be S4HANA. You can replace this. The only difference between ECC or an S4HANA as a new instance would be this is your ECC box. On top of this, you will install MDG. If it is ECC box, the new instance which I am talking about. If the new instance is S4HANA, MDG is within S4HANA. It is embedded within S4HANA. They don't need to purchase the software and install it. It's already delivered as part of S4HANA.
Karthik, if you don't mind, can you repeat this?
Yeah, sorry.
The confusion.
Yeah, sorry. I missed that your question. What was your question?
Yeah, I'm still confusing what is ECC and operational ECC and ECC on MDG. Yeah.
Okay. Operational ECC now when we are saying ECC, there are some ECC boxes which are set up in the landscape to manage only master data. If you take some of the big customers, they would take one ECC box to manage suppliers, one ECC box to manage customers. We call it as CRM, SRM. And one more ECC box where they'll manage SRM, CRM, plus they will also raise a purchase order, purchase request, financial settlements in the same system. So wherever the transactions are being posted towards the master data, that system is called as operational system.
Karthik, when you speak about the ECC, like a conventional way of landscape system, like a development system where the configurations are done, then moving to the quality system where the testings are done, and moving further to the production system. Is this not followed in MDG?
Same follows. Same been followed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you speak about the operational ECC, you are referring to the production system, right?
Correct. I'm referring to production.
Okay.
So this becomes an operational ECC system. So now, how many ways SAP will deliver S4HANA? Sorry, MDG software. Now there are various versions of MDG software: 6.1, 7.0, 8.0, 9.0, 9.1, 9.2. Now initially SAP started providing an MDG software for ECC systems, which sits on EHP 6, 7. And there are some of the EHP upgrades happened along with MDG. SAP also upgraded themselves, released a new version of EHP, which is 8. Then you can install 9.0, 9.2 as a separate softwares. Then later on, when SAP is releasing S4HANA series, so far it is a separate purchase, a software is separate purchase. So to promote S4HANA, to give S4HANA, to sell S4HANA to customers, they said, Jude, if you get S4HANA system, I give you some of the softwares which is free as part of S4HANA suite itself. If you take 1610, I'll give MDG for free in it, which is embedded into it. You don't need to purchase it. Similarly, if you take 1709, you will take MDG 9.0. No, sorry, 9.1. (1809), even 1909. As of now, there is no MDG new version. It is 9.2 only. So now new S4 HANA would consist of MDG by default, no separate component to be installed. Not only MDG, they are giving some other components which are free, like UI5 component is free for them. BW component is free for them. Transport management is free for them. So this is how SAP will provide its software as a delivery. Now, sorry, before we go to the next slide, any questions on this?
You also specified that software is free, but the user license needs to be purchased, right?
Exactly.
To use
User licenses and the volume of the records. When we say license, there are 3 ways that SAP will sell a license. Product license, user license, data license. We need to purchase, let's say you have materials of 10,000 with you, then we need to purchase 20,000 volume of licenses because 10,000 is already there, and you consider the growth of next 50%, you will take one more 10,000 volume of licenses for you to manage your material masters. Likewise, we need to purchase the volume of data as also a license. 10,000 records is being considered as one package. Again, if you want to purchase a license for 3,000 or 4,000? No, there is no package. Again, there is one more 10,000. That's how we need to purchase the licenses. So here with S4HANA, only product licenses has been avoided, which is coming for free. Rest of the license, user license and data licenses, still customers has to take it for.
Can you also highlight here inactive area and the active area for this S4HANA defaulted product license?
It remains same. That is part of MDG software.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so now, due to some reasons, if my operational ECC, as I was talking about, that SAP supports MDG starting from EHP 6 or 7 or 8. Due to some reasons, I see that my operational ECC is not on EHP 6. It is on EHP 5. So MDG cannot be installed on my EHP 5, right? But just for MDG, I cannot upgrade myself. The whole upgrade, I don't do it just for the software for MDG. But rather what I can do, I'll take a new software component, new box. That box would be typically on EHP 6 or 7 or 8, or it can be a new S4 HANA system also. It can be anything I can take based on some inputs what we give to the customer. The customer will ask us which EHP box that we need to take. Is it 6 or 7 or 8? Do you see any differences in terms of MDG futures? Do you see any differences in terms of S4 HANA advantages because of the HANA database? They'll have a questionnaire and we'll give our feedback. Based on that, he'll purchase the new software. If it is an S4 HANA, MDG is available in S4 HANA itself. If it is not S4 HANA, if it is ECC, then we'll install MDG on top of it. The concept remains same, the rest of the topics that we are discussing. Now, I will be moving the data, all structured data, master data from my operational ECC system to my S4 HANA ECC box. Just a moment, I think there is some issue here. Spell mistake. So once the new S4HANA box is set up, it'll move all the master data from my operational ECC to S4HANA. So first we'll create the user IDs, then we'll create the org data, we'll move the org data from S4HANA, from operational ECC to S4HANA, and then there would be a movement of master data from my operational ECC to MDG or S4HANA box. There are various ways of doing it. Now user IDs can be created manually in the system of S4HANA, and this customizing data can be moved via transports or via BC sets or via solution manager charm tool, or there are some synchronization cockpits which are from a basis. They will move this data from one system to other system, and the master data of operational ECC can be moved to MDG on S4HANA again by various tools. Like there are SAP bots, there are some of the SAP partners, back office associates has its own upgrading tool. S&P as a company has their own tool. Using those tools, they'll move the master data between one system to other system. So once the data movement is happened, we tag it as initial load into MDG box. We will also say that MDG on S4HANA box is like central MDG. Now, the same scenario applies with ECC box as well. Even if it is an ECC box, we'll move the same data to MDG ECC box, and on that MDG software is being installed. Now, MDG will read the data from MDG ECC box and do its governance in MDG box. And finally, it will replicate the data back to MDG ECC system. Let's say there is a new material which is created in MDG ECC system. Can that material consumed in operational ECC in this scenario? Answer is no, because the new material is available in MDG ECC system. Again, it has to be replicated to my operational ECC. So this is how the landscape of a customer, if it is a hub deployment, wherein it has co-deployment, the concept is simple. You had your operational ECC, on top of that MDG software is installed. No extra initial load, no extra further replications required here. Now, I'll discuss about the reuse storage mode. Any questions before I go into storage modes in terms of deployment options? Okay, I'll take it as no. And we'll go with a storage mode. Now, Even MDG on S4HANA or ECC has the MDG software in terms of, inactive and active area. This is inactive and this is active. So let's say requester maintain the material information and he submit the request. Then the material code is 1032. It is available in inactive area of MDG. Then after submit, it will go to the steward for the next level validation, and finally it will go to an approver to approve the request. So on approval, the expectation is the data will move from inactive area of MDG to active area of MDG. Sorry, not active area of ECC. That means the material code which is available in active area before approval process, on approval process, it is directly replicated to a Mara table of my ECC box. Now, if it is my ECC box, where it is my operational ECC, if it is a code deployment, here itself I can do my transactions. I can raise sales order with respect to this materials. But example, if it was a hub deployment model, then we need to replicate it additionally. There is an extra step called replication, which will send the data to that one SAP system. Now it can be again ECC. If it is hub deployment. If it is not hub deployment, this is where the replication will automatically ended after approving the master data. Now let me take a storage mode related to Flex. So the requester submitted a cost center available in inactive area of MDG. Then it went to steward, he validated, and approver, he approved it. Now after approval, the data will move from inactive area of MDG to active area of MDG. And from active area of MDG to active area of ECC. That's how the data will move. It's two-step process. First step, it will come from inactive area of MDG to active area of MDG after approval. And since it is available in MDG box, we cannot use that cost center in any of the transactions. So it has to be explicitly moved from active area of MDG to my active area of ECC or S4HANA box. That requires an additional replication step, two-step process.
Karthik, once the replication is happened to the active area of ECC, still the active area of MDG holds the data or else it gets cleared?
It still holds the data.
Okay.
That will be the node, and that will be the difference between the reuse storage mode and flex storage mode. If we are taking reuse storage mode, after approval, the data will be deleted from active area of MDG. There won't be any data here. Here also there won't be any data. But the data will be only available in MARA table. In the previous slide. Yeah. After approval, immediately the material code will move from inactive area of MDG to directly active area of ECC. So there is no data here when it is reuse storage mode. But if it is flex storage mode, after approval, the data will move from inactive area of MDG to active area of MDG, and from again active area of MDG to here ECC table or S4HANA table called CSKs. Now once it is
Karthik,
moved to
Karthik said here, when we'll use the flex storage mode and when we use the reuse storage mode.
So this storage modes usage would be based on the time dependent data. Example, now if we take the cost centers, profit centers, cost elements, has a validity dates, valid from and valid to of a cost center, even profit center, because those are used in the reporting purpose. So anything related to time dependent will be falling under the flex storage mode. Not only that, they will also consider the sensitivity of the data.
In that case,
Generally,
actually, this is nothing to in our hand, right? It's inbuilt,
right,
right? That as a consultant, as a technical function consultant, we don't define whether it's a reuse mode or flex mode, right?
correct. So this time dependent or based on the sensitivity, the solution developers will define whether it is a flex mode or reuse mode, and then they deliver the solution. Now, as a solution developers, there are SAP is a one solution developer, and SAP partners are there. As a MDG solution developers, Utopia and SNV. So these people will also provide solutions on MDG. Now they will decide which master data should be part of which storage mode. Now being an implementation partners, we do not have any options for us to change the storage mode between flex and reuse to flex. We don't have. We have to implement them how they have delivered. Now, This might be helpful for us if we are doing a custom solutions to our to our customer. Example, there is PS. As of now, there is no solutions given by SAP nor by SAP partners. There is no solution. But your customer wanted to implement SAP PS. Then it would be a decision with us whether to go with flex or reuse storage mode. Hope you got the point.
Yeah, yep.
So generally, finance objects are considered more sensitive compared to the business part and material objects, and it is also having its own time dependency. Only SAP Finance objects are delivered as part of a flex node. The rest of the objects like BP are delivered as reuse. Yeah. So again, if it is a hub deployment model, we would require one more step to replicate to one SAP system. I mean that one SAP system or ACC system, whatever we call it as. So by default, we don't have any central S/4HANA component. Central ECC system, no. It's been tagged as central S/4HANA or central ECC based on the usage of the box in the landscape. Okay, now I will move on to the discussion in the system directly. Now, given a system, let's say this is not S/4HANA box. There is one more system for S/4HANA which will log in. This is
it a code deployment or hub model? I know.
yeah. So that's where we are coming up. How do we say that this is a core deployment or it's a hub deployment? Model.
If MDG has a separate box, then it's hub model, separate login for MDG system.
Exactly.
ECC we need to log in separately, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go to the system. And go to the system data. And here I'll see if there is any MDG APPL component available. So here MDG APPL is there. That means MDG software is installed, which is of release 618. And this is on SAP APPL 6.1. That means it's EHP 7. Now I log into S4 HANA box. So generally, if I don't find SAP APPL, and if I find S4 core instead of SAP APPL, if I find S4 core, that means it's a HANA box. Okay. In that I have MDG APPL as 801. So what does it say 801? There is some versions which are released. If my MDG APPL is 607, 6.1 version, 618, it's 7.0 version, 619, 8.0 version, 620, 90, 621, 9.1, 622, 9.2. If it is on ECC box. If it is on S4 HANA box, it starts from 801. So in our example, when we say 801, we can consider this as MDG. Which version? 801 MDG APPL 9.0 MDG version which we have. And we do have another MDG box. Here we are saying 617. Sorry, not 617. Six 618 means 7.0. So we have 7.0 version on EHP 7 and we have 9.0 on S4 HANA 1610 version. We have two different systems which are available. Now this is one way that we can find whether MDG software is installed or not. If it is installed, which version of MDG we are using. Or another way would be, we go to SFW5 transaction code. Generally it's purely sensitive T code. We would not have any authorization. This is related to business functions. In this business functions, SAP will deliver few of the functions for MDG as a framework. Each foundation gives a MDG version name. This is MDG 7.0 and 7.0 feature pack. So if we have MDG 5, MDG underscore foundation 5, then we are saying we are on MDG 7.0. Now let me do the same thing with S4HANA box. I have enterprise business functions. I have here MDG material 6.0 and MDG foundation 7. So if we look at MDG foundation is the core framework related business function, which says in EHP 7 we had till MDG foundation 5, which says this is MDG 7.0 version, and then there is foundation 6 for 8.0 version, and there is foundation 7, there would be MDG 9.0 version. Apart from this MDG as a framework, even modules of MDG like MM, finance, business partner, customer, supplier will also have its own business functions. Now material is available with various business functions. Similarly, MDG finance is available with various business functions till 9.0. And MDG supplier, which are not activated in the system. MDG customer, MDG business part. Likewise, we have various business functions for each solution delivered for SAP. Now, what does this business function will consist of? So when we purchase this S4HANA box or your ECC box, it will deliver lots of software components inside it. The code is also delivered, but that code will not trigger because some of the switches are inactive. The transaction codes will not work. Even though there are some transaction codes, they will not work because the switches are off. So when we activate this business function, when we activate these business functions, the switches will be enabled so that the piece of logic, the transactions of those components will be start working. Now, how do we know that which business function to be activated here? We will refer to the standard SAP guide. There would be a configuration guide which will be given by SAP. In this, we'll switch a guide based on the version. So here we have various versions available: 9.2, 9.1, 9.0, 8.0. I'm selecting 9.0. Then let's say if I wanted to implement MDG for materials, I go with this document step-by-step process. There are certain services to be activated in the system. We'll activate those services. This is the list of services. When we say a service, what does it mean? Now these are web-based applications. MDG for end users will be a web-based application, nothing but an FPM-based application. The application which is being developed using FPM technology. So that will generate a URL. That URL will be activated as a service. So all those Web9 Pro applications, or say FPM applications which are part of MDG, will be activated so that it can run in a web browser. These are the list of FPM based applications. Now there are few applications which are common for all modules, solution independent. There are few services which are specific to a solution. Like BS, OAP, BP is only specific to business partner or customer or supplier. It is not required for MDGM, finance and controlling objects. So once the services is activated, I'll go to configuration of MDG material, and the list of prerequisite business functions are mentioned here. We should be enabling MDG Foundation 6. Once this is done, then we need to enable the business functions related to material master. Now, who will enable these business functions? Definitely not a MDG technical or functional consultant. A basis consultant will have an access to enable these business functions. Right? So let me make a step here. Yes. Any questions in between?
Karthik, what is that FPM refers to?
FPM refers to uh,
Karthik, are you speaking? Because I see that Karthik is talking, but I can't hear anything.
Looks like his system got shut down.
Ah, okay. Hello, Subhashni.
Hello, Srinivas, I guess, right?
Santosh, are you there? Anyone from institute side? You can't hear his voice.
Even I can't hear Karthik voice, Srini.
Yeah. I think it is for everyone.
Yes, yes.
I just informed to the institute people. Let's see.
Thanks,
Hello, 2
Srinivas.
minutes, please. Hello? Call.
Yes, Subhashni.
Yeah, Sujit, just 2 minutes, Sujit. Call you.
All right, no problem.
Yeah. Hello? Hello, Sujit? Srinivas, hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
Subhashni.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Subhashni.
Yes, just Karthik informed he's rejoining, okay? 2 minutes. He replied in the WhatsApp.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Uh-huh. Hello, yeah, the candidate MG, can you please reply to the private chat?
Hello. Hello. Able to hear me?
Yes, Karthik.
Yes, Karthik. Yeah.
Sorry, there was the battery down. So if you look at MDG as an application, MDG has two different UIs.
Karthik, before you got disconnected, I raised a question like, what is FPM? I'm not sure because I couldn't able to hear and you got disconnected.
MDG application for the end users and MDG application for the functional and developers, right? So for end users, there are two applications. One, it will be Fiori or it would be a web-based application, nothing but FPM. Or Fiori. They will directly log in into the application and start working. For functional developers, the master data creation code is required.
We lost you, Karthik.
Would have
Your voice is breaking. Sorry to interrupt you.
FPM that are required, the backend concept. Or being a developer, we get the sorry. Yes, please go ahead.
Karthik, your voice is not clear.
We lost completely the explanation you given me here, Karthik. Sorry to say that.
So let me do one thing then.
Maybe some network issues.
Yeah, so I'll change my network window then. Give me a minute.
I think now whatever you spoke, it's clear, Karthik.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's fluctuating. Let me change my window.
Mm.
Okay, so let me do it once again. So when we look at MDG as an application, MDG will have two things which are required. Like similarly, any other software software applications, like you take a sales order creation. Generally, as of now, we do with VA01, VA02 transactions to create and change the sales orders. But there is something which is required in terms of SPRO to set up. I should rather say not SPRO, it's a prerequisite. prerequisite setup is given as part of a SAP GUI. And application is also given. I'm just talking in terms of, the traditional transaction. This is also SAP GUI. Now when we say MDG, even MDG also requires some of the prerequisite setup. That we'll be doing with SAP GUI itself. But application is based on a web-based. It's a web application. There is no SAP GUI here. Again, in web application, there are two ways. One is FPM based, another is UI5 based. Two different applications are there. Here UI5 is optional. But FPM is mandatory. Now, there are a few differences or a few advantages that we go with FPM compared to UI5. That discussion still we have to discuss when we are going for UI modeling. Just at a higher level, I would say that UI5 is not a ABAP based language, it's jQuery and JavaScript. But FPM is a ABAP based language. Since it is ABAP based, there is some tight integrations with respect to other components of MDG. And development efforts are less. All those things would become a disadvantages in UI5, except the rich appearance of a UI. Except the rich UIs, the rest of the things will be a disadvantage in UI5 applications. So what is an FPM? It's a floor plan manager, is an abbreviation for that. Was it clear?
UI5 is linked with Fury, one OData.
Exactly, linked with OData. Earlier it was Fiori, now it's been replaced with UI5.
Okay. And one more, I came to know that after 1709, this FPM will not be coming into the picture. Is it true?
No, it's a wrong statement. No.
Karthik, I have one more doubt regarding this area. Like, in S4HANA, now the users, like the business partners, are using FPM or UI5?
S4HANA business partners, again it's a different, that is not related to MDG you're asking, right?
No,
in general, how business partners are being used in S4HANA?
Yes.
They'll be
I'm
using
not
SAP
talking about the component, just to correct it.
Right.
Just the UI using by business is FPM based UX or UI5 in case of S4HANA?
Not both of them. Not both of them. They'll be using SAP GUI itself.
Okay.
Only if it is MDG, then they will come up with, FPM or UEFI.
Okay, Karthik. Thank you.
Yeah.
Karthik, I have one more question. Like you're saying that FPM is mandatory and UI is optional. So, like, what is the? I mean, what are you referring to? Like FPM, we have to use, and along with that, user can use a UI5 also. Like, how does it work?
Right. So even if we enable UI5, we don't enable the services of FPM. There would be few inconsistencies in the behavior of UI5.
All the initial, like I'm going to a next level discussion maybe, but the thing is that like if we have an FPM application which is going for an approval, like we are going to approve to FPM application, but like how can we relate it to UI5 parallelly? I mean, if it is going for like what will the UI5 like screen do to the user? Like what is the use of the UI5 in that case? Because we have an FPM screen already, which is going for approval. So what is the use of additional UI5 in the system?
Okay.
I mean, what does it do
So
actually?
yeah. So if we look at the differences between the UI5 or FPM, let me put this in the solution perspective. So initially, all these solutions are developed in FPM. Okay, requester, specialist, approver used to work in FPM. This is a way that SAP MDG has been developed to integrate with FPM, and it has its own advantages to do it. Now later on there was a demand from the customers. I want some rich UIs to be available. So for that, SAP has initially introduced Fiori applications or UFI applications only for an approver, because approver can actually look into the request in a mobile application and say approve or reject actions. Approver will not change the data in the master data request. He'll take only action. So mobile applications are more friendly in terms of executing an action, but not in terms of giving the data, right? So only approver Fiori applications were initially delivered. Now later on again there was a request. It's not about only approver, we even specialists also want this, but they has to feed the data into the application also, not only about the action. You should be providing as a platform to enter the data. Then some of the fields, not all the MDG material master fields are given as UFI. Some of the fields, example, here let's say there are 300 attributes of material master. Here 100 attributes of that material master is given as UI5. For specialist, and it even brought to the requester also. Hundred fields. Now later on, with the maturity of MDG application in terms of ages, they have also improvised this 100 fields with reaching very close to this 300 fields. But still, not all solutions. I'm taking material master because it has a very less fields in terms of the master data solution. But not all solutions like business partner is completely converted into UI5. Still, there are some gaps which are there in UI5, which has to be filled by SAP. So if you compare FPM and UI5, you would be missing few of the attributes in UI5 application. That would be the major difference.
Yes, okay, I got you.
So every time whenever there is an MDG is in place, there should be FPM available for the accessing the.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So we have discussed about the software components and versions, thing which is clear, and business functions. So I would like to take a note. What is your understanding on business functions with our discussion? Anyone would like to tell why business functions are used? To enable solutions which are already part of the ERP suite. Now we have IS solutions also. We just looked into only one MDG, but if you look at various other business functions, some says HCM components, some of them says finance components, some of says defense DFPS, defense components. There would be some other like PRS, it's commercial projects. Some UI frameworks. Something, whenever you purchase a software on an EHP, it comes with own set of the business functions. We'll enable them based on the need that we go with. So basis will come and first do the business function setup. Then the functional configurations will be done in the respective T codes. Then the application will be used. And what is services? End user applications are delivered as web-based applications. Yeah, end user applications are delivered as a web-based application. These applications are delivered as a service which needs to be activated to run on a browser. I'll also mention the T code, SICF. Business function, SFW5. Now I'll go to SICF and give some of the service. I'll take the name of the service from the configuration guide. I'll take this service name. Execute. So here if the service is highly activated, it will be in activate service would be in disable mode. If the service is inactive, then we'll get an option to activate the service. Just for example to show. These are all various services which are activated in the system. This application configuration, this is also activated. Let's say if it is deactivated, you will see this is not highlighted in the system. Even looking at the service name, we can identify whether it's activated or not. If it's deactivated, we'll again activate it. Once it is activated, we can do a test run, test service as well, to see whether it is running on a browser. Yeah, it's running. So this way the services will be activated. We will share this list of services from the configuration guide, this URL to Basis to activate all of them. Basis will be activating the service. Now there is a topic called BC sets. From there we'll start the next discussion. If we have any questions, we'll discuss in today's session, and we'll go with the BC sets concept and then the data modeling in the next class. Do we have any questions to address?
So Karthik, if we are going into an MDG project, suppose we are in an MDG project, so we are going to work on it. So first of all, in the system in the in the beginning, we need to check if all the services are activated, so that we need to take an initiative, or it will already be done. How does it work? Does the functional and the developer all the we as a I as an employee is going to look into it initially, we are going to get a box, or then we have to see all the configurations are at place and then we have to go on how does it work initially?
Okay, so I'll tell you what happens in terms of MDG project implementations. Okay, so right now here we are I'm telling you from the current experiences which we are going through. So right now the customer wanted to go with MDG as a governance solution, and they have invited us to talk on behalf of them with SAP, because customers do not know any technical terms of MDG, right? So they need to purchase the software. To purchase the software, what is the infrastructure required? What is the RAM? What is the hard disk? All this required, and how it could be installed, whether it can be managed as a hub deployment or co-deployment. All those proposals which we have already provided to the customer, and we are purchasing the licenses from SAP. And once we purchase the license from SAP, then that will be given to a implementation partner. So the decision of whether it is a hub deployment or co-deployment is already taken care by the business. That is not part of an MDG functional or technical consultant role. Now, since the box is given to you, yes, that's a functional consultant responsibility to check the business functions are activated or not, or services are activated or not. If it is a plain greenfield implementation, vanilla box, yeah, we'll go with an assumption nothing is activated. None of the business functions or services will be active. We need to explicitly activate them. But if we joined a project in between, let's say already MDG business partner implementation is running, and you are recruited to manage the MDG materials. So you might not see the services which are related to materials are active in the system. You would not expect that that would be activated. So again, you will be cross-checking the services and the business functions related to your material master in the system. And let's say you join a support project in MDG, definitely you are not going to check all these things, because this would be taken care in terms of implementation already.
Karthik, so just in case if we notice any particular service is not activated, so it's like we need to inform to the basis team to highlighting that point?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So for us, as I discussed, for us there are three options. You are allocated to a project where there is no MDG implemented earlier. Yes, all these things are by default assumed to check. If we allocate to a project which is an implementation for a new domain, say you are allocated to handle the material master which is not set up in the system. Again, yes, you need to check all this stuff.